Cancer, this is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries. Welcome, guys. This is our weekly Cancer astrology forecast where we go deep and dig down into the astrology and how it's impacting Cancerians, in particular Cancer suns. So what we do in this video is I'm going to break down the major planetary aspects and transits for this week. This week, the week of April 28th through May 4th. So between those 7 days, I'm going to break down the astrology and the different aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun and what impact that's going to have on your life. Now, if you don't know where your natal sun is, you can check out your natal chart. So a lot of you already have your natal charts, but if you don't, they're very easy to get. You can just go online and search free natal chart and so many websites will pop up. You'll need your birth date, which you already have, your birth time, and your birth place. And with those three key pieces of information, you will be able to get a natal chart within seconds and know where all your planets are actually located, the degree on the zodiac wheel which they're located. So if your natal sun is somewhere between 0 and 9 degrees Cancer, you are Cancer ones because your natal sun falls within the first decan or group of 10 degrees of Cancer. If your natal sun falls between 10 and 19 degrees Cancer, you are Cancer 2s. And if your natal sun falls between 20 and 29 degrees Cancer, you are Cancer 3s. I will, for those of you who don't have the chart right now, I will try to translate that loosely into estimated dates that would correlate with, but it changes and it toggles. So the most specific way is to know where your natal sun is, but you do not need to, because I will be able to go over estimated dates. Okay. We're going to start real broad Cancerians, and then we're going to like stuff that's impacting everybody. And then we're going to whittle it down to the stuff that specifically Cancerians need to be aware of. And then we'll go into your natal suns and the specifics of what you can expect throughout the week. I highly encourage you to watch the entire video because there are a lot of transits between the decans of Cancer and other zodiac signs now. So even though there's no major planetary transits right now, this week, except at the end of the week, but we'll get into that. But there's no major planetary transits as in, the planets moving from one zodiac sign to another. They are transiting within the zodiac sign between the decans. So they will start to impact you in different ways. Some people are going to get the heat taken off of them. So some other people, the heat is going to be turned on up, and we'll go into who that's going to be and why it's happening. So there are no major planetary transits. They're basically all the planets and the planetoids, luminaries are staying where they're staying put, except for the moon. And as Cancerians, I recommend always get yourself a lunar calendar. It's so important because our moods really do change. They do shift, or at least our focus tends to shift. Just as the moon passes between those different zodiac signs every 2.5 days or so. So it's very important for us to be able to know where the moon is. So yes, the moon is transiting and it is experiencing a huge transit aspect this week. Not this week. At the very beginning of next week, but we're going to talk about it now anyway, because you should get preemptively ready for it. So on May 4th, the very end of this week that we're covering, the moon is going to transit into Scorpio, which will put it conjunct the South Node. This is a really interesting position for it to go into before it moves just a few more degrees on into Scorpio. And when it's in the second decan of Scorpio, around 14, 15 degrees, the moon is going to be in direct opposition to the sun, which means the moon is full. This full moon is going to be in Scorpio, and it is also a lunar eclipse. It is a penumbral lunar eclipse, which means it's not in the darkest part of Earth's shadow, but it is a complete shadow. And those of us, like I'm in the States, actually all of Central, North, and South America, even into Iceland, Greenland, UK, you guys, we're not going to experience it. We're not going to get to experience it. But those of you, especially those of you around the areas that you got the good view of the solar eclipse, it's you guys that are going to get a good glimpse of this eclipse as well. Australia, India, the eastern part of the African continent, different parts of Asia that are located sort of near India. You guys are, and then Europe, Western Europe into Eastern Europe, just not the UK because it's a little too far north. But ultimately, you guys are actually going to get to see or get to a chance to witness or experience this eclipse, and you will see that full shadow cast on the moon. The time for us over here, it's about 1:30 p.m., so Eastern Standard Time. Where I am in Austin, that means it's like 12:30 noon. So the sun's going to be out. We're not going to get to see it at all. We won't see it happening. But if anybody wants to take some great photos, you don't have to. The good thing about a lunar eclipse is you don't have to worry about hurting your eyes the way you do with a solar eclipse. So definitely send them to me. I would love to have any images that you guys collect. It should be quite the spectacle. Now, while this is happening, because a full moon is always a moon that's in direct opposition to the sun. The sun, of course, is in Taurus at 15 degrees, and it's going to be conjunct Uranus, which is at 18 degrees, and it will still be in a loose conjunction to Mercury retrograde, which I think will be at 9 degrees, 10 degrees. So the sun is in a very interesting position. The grandest luminary in our sky is bringing light to some pretty brilliant energy. Mercury conjunct the sun and Uranus conjunct the sun, both extremely brilliant, genius discoveries, revelations, all of those things happening during this full moon in Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is a difficult moon, and this week we'll get into how the moon is moving, but Scorpio is a difficult moon because the moon is at its fall position, which means it's not comfortable. It's repressed. The moon represents emotions and your psyche, and Scorpio is hide it. Don't talk about it. Don't say anything about it. Guilt, shame, those kind of emotions are very common when the moon is in Scorpio. So there is a sense of having to purge our most difficult and hidden emotions or secrets that have been hidden. Now, genius is bringing it to light. Very interesting, very intriguing. I love the position of the sun for this new moon, for this full moon, just saying. So let's go over, but that's going to happen technically on May 5th. What happens at the end of this week, which is May 4th, is that the moon is going to transit into Scorpio, as it transits every 2.5 days. So it's going to transit into Scorpio, and it is going to conjunct the south node. So there is sort of a harmonizing and maybe a melancholy or nostalgia for the way that things used to be before we have to purge these toxins on the full moon. So it's almost like a sentimental thing before it gets ruined, ripped away, destroyed, or exposed. It's really freaking interesting how it's setting up, and I think this could be a very complex and tremendously emotional moon that's coming up. Cancerians, let's talk about where the moon is going to be this week. The moon is transiting between Leo and Scorpio. Leo, it's at the very end of Leo when we begin on Friday. It is going to transit through Virgo, a Libra, and into Scorpio. Now, I would think all of these moons are pretty difficult moons to have. Leo moon, bottom line, attention. It almost needs attention and constant love in order to feel emotionally certain or secure. Virgo moons worry, kind of fear, and it feels best when there's regularity going on. It feels most certain and most secure when there's regularity going on. But with an eclipse impending, a Mercury retrograde happening, and Pluto square Jupiter, we're going to get into those. Pluto square Jupiter, Venus square Neptune, Uranus sextile to Mars, Chiron square to Mars, Neptune trine to Mars. Mars is under a lot of duress during this moon, and What's really interesting is Mars is also going to be trine this new moon when it's happening. So it just feels like we're getting set up for a lot to happen in order to reharmonize our systems. So the moon, when it's in Libra, I would say placate. Libra moons always want things to be even, and they're even tempered, and they want things to be fair to a point of passive aggressiveness or codependency. That could get really extreme there too. And then we have Scorpio moons, which is hide. Hide your feeling, repress your feelings, don't talk about your feelings, go cold with your feelings. That kind of energy is very difficult leading up to the eclipse, which is explosive, because during this eclipse, Jupiter is square to Pluto. Jupiter square to Pluto don't take no BS. It insists, like the rotor-rooter of of astrology. It will unclog whatever clog is put into it, and it will do it relentlessly and ruthlessly if need be. And remember, Jupiter is conjunct the North Node while all of this is happening. So it's like, listen, I don't care how nostalgic shit is or how much you're trying to hide. We're going to purge it and we're going to move forward. So it can be a quite tricky and painful, emotionally painful full moon. Jupiter is sextile to Venus. So that gives me hope. It gives me hope that there's optimism this week. Like there's gonna be like sort of a optimism in beauty and certainty and progress, right? Just want to expand and grow your understanding of what is beautiful and what is attractive. But during this all, Mars is going through a lot. So this week, major aspects with Mars. Uranus is sextile to Mars. That is moving in a strange way, doing weird things, but being interested in weird things. It's just forward progress, kind of brilliant genius progress, making its motions and making its waves and making itself being felt. And then we have Chiron. Chiron that is square to Mars, which is bad. I mean, not bad. I know I shouldn't say that. It's difficult. It's painful. It could actually exacerbate potential for accidents. So stay away from the stuff that you don't know about, right? Because this could be really tough. Chiron square Mars is feeling all that pain and being in pain and it being physical, since Chiron is in Aries and Mars is in Cancer. It could be some sort of physical pain or physical suffering that the family is going through or that family members are going through, or simply put, pushing too hard, like pushing too hard because you're driven by the pain. Watch out for this, guys. That's a difficult energy. By the 2nd of May, Neptune is going to be trine to Mars. And then all week long, Saturn is says a square, not semi-square, says a square to Mars. God, this is, you know what I wrote down on my paper? You can see, I'm reading this on my paper. Crash test dummies. That's what it sounds like, crash test dummies. Like we're just gonna like head first ram ourselves into a wall, but it's being done to prove something and to make a huge breakthrough. So those of us who survive that kind of energy, and yes, it's going to impact a certain group of you tremendously, Cancerians. Those of you that survive it will actually probably be on a really good side of it, but we're not going easy. This is going to be a difficult risk. The risk is high. Lots of risk taking this week. Let's go into the decans, shall we? So Cancer, Mars is in Cancer, and it's moving between 17 and 21 degrees this week. So Mars is actually transiting between the 2nd decan of Cancer and the 3rd decan of Cancer. So those of you born probably around the 10th, 11th, 12th of Cancer are really going to feel Mars the most. I'm just letting you know. My natal sun is at 14 degrees Cancer, and I was born on the 6th of Cancer. So Mars is now at 17, starts at 17 degrees Cancer. So figure like maybe 10th, 11th, 12th, you guys especially, you are conjunct, your natal suns are majorly just, Mars is sitting right on top of you all week long. So know that, and I want you to know that, because that means your natal suns are also square to Chiron, sextile to Uranus, trine to Neptune, trine to Neptune, and says a square to Saturn. So you're getting a lot of heat right now. There's a lot going on for you guys right now, with intensity and progress and energy and wanting to push forward and the challenges that go along with it. You guys would be between Cancer 2 and Cancer 3, right? Because it's transiting those two decans. So this is why I tell everybody to pay attention to the whole reading, because especially if your birthdays are somewhere in between, you're going to feel the energy anyway. That's just an aside for you guys. Let's get to Cancer 1s. A lot going on. So the on May 4th, when the moon goes into Scorpio and is conjunct the South Node, you guys will be trine to the moon on that day. So for this is like making peace with your past and harmonizing with it, accepting it, and being comfortable with it. All week long, if you're a cusp, if you're born on the cusp of Cancer and what do I want to say? Hold on. Yes, if you're born on the cusp of Cancer and Gemini, your natal suns are sextile to Jupiter. This is a fantastic position to be in. I'm just letting you know. The sun sextile to Jupiter is a lot of opportunities, a lot of things working out for you, even if you're stupid. Like, I'm just saying, like, this is really blessed energy. Opportunities open up, charisma meaning a lot, expansion and growth, especially growth of the self and your understanding of what your own potential is. Opportunities to grow up and expand who you are, being seen, being noticed, being recognized. Your natal suns, a more long-term aspect, are sextile to the North Node and trine the South Node, which is harmonizing with the past and all your talents and applying them to the future. You guys are future focused. And this is a great week and another couple of weeks, because Jupiter will just keep getting closer. So ultimately, you guys will be sextile to Jupiter for a couple of weeks. This is a very lucky time for you, right? And with that square to Pluto, because you guys are square to Pluto too, No, you're not square to Pluto. Jupiter is square, forgive me. Jupiter is square to Pluto. But it's almost like you're going to get a little bit of that energy too, which means Jupiter is intensified. It's not taking no for an answer. It is relentless, and it's just going to go. It just wants change. Bottom line, it's going to go for the change. So this is a tremendously progressive and forward time. This is when you're looking toward the future and actually stapling it down and committing to it. Fantastic energy for you guys. So you guys are also going to be sextile to the sun, but that's more Cancer ones who are toward the end of the first decade. So more Cancerians who are between 5 and 9 degrees Cancer. Those of you who are probably born more toward the 29th through maybe the 1st of July, you guys are going to be feeling the sun, the sextile to the sun the most. That will only impact you, I would say, through the beginning of May, through May 1st. What does that mean? Well, it means that, good on you, man. You just have a lot of confidence, a lot of strength, and a lot of courage, and a lot of charisma, and people are going to be noticing you. So this is a really nice period for you. By the 4th of May, those of you who are at the cusp between Gemini and Cancer, you're going to be conjunct Venus, because Venus is moving really, really close to the end of Gemini. In fact, next week it's transiting into Cancer, and it'll be right on top of your suns. So right now, the most early Cancerians, so those of you 22nd, 23rd, 24th Cancerians, conjunct to Venus, this is going to make you real attractive, real beautiful, really just like a sex machine, high value, natural sense of allure and charisma about you. I mean, plus you guys are sextile to Jupiter too. You could just basically get anything you frickin' want right now. I'm just letting you know. Your natal suns are square to Neptune, especially if you're at the cusps. This is a strong square for those of you at the cusp, which means you can be a little bit distracted or distractible, getting fog, haze. This is a longer term transit though, and I can tell you guys, it's something that you've been dealing with for a while. So just be aware of it. A longer term transit also is this trine to Saturn, which is just doing really well and figuring that the rules actually somehow work out for you, or being able to harmonize any kind of legal issues or contracts or obligations, wanting to be harmonious and make everything right in an up and up kind of legal way. And then we have a quincunx to Pluto, which is frustration. And I think that frustration is pushing you to change, making you change. And endings are probably the catalyst to why you're being pushed forward. So if a lot of things have been ending in your life or just have been really painful for you, it's to push you in the direction of your progress. Cancer 2s. It's your natal suns that are going to be trine to the full moon. So this is going to bring you this release and this combustible, like rotor-rooter explosion is going to purge what needs to be purged in order for there to once again become balance and stability in your life. By May 1st, the sun is, your natal suns are sextile to the current sun. So you'll be sextile to the sun and trine the moon during the full moon. That's really freaking awesome. But it also means that you're sextile to Mercury and you're sextile to Uranus. This is brilliant, period. This is a major breakthrough when it comes to intellect, academia, science, technology, huge opportunities online. Get ready for it, get prepared, because you're about to explode. And your natal suns are conjunct to Mars until the 5th. Now, on the 5th, something really interesting. Until the 1st. On the 1st, something really interesting happens, and your natal suns are going to be conjunct to it. The sun and Mercury retrograde at 11 degrees Taurus is going to, they're going to be in perfect conjunction with each other. So this is going to be sextile to your natal suns. I'm talking huge explosion, huge opportunity, huge potential. Don't underestimate this. This is extraordinary, brilliant breakthrough moment. Like in terms of aha moments, realizing something, understanding something. Game-changing opportunities, especially through technology, through intellect, and different kinds of communications. Your natal suns are square to Chiron. So watch, May 1st, big day for you. Big day for us, I'll say, because I fall into the second decan as well. Okay, square to Chiron. That's been going on for a while, but it just means that we have been dealing with everything makes us feel like we are not good enough. And that we just never can get over this idea of we're never going to be good enough. This sort of perpetual suffering that's been happening and will be happening until Chiron finally moves the heck out of the second decan into the third. But it's still a challenging energy. It's just that we've been dealing with it for a while. And because nothing is really exacerbating Chiron right now, it's a little bit better for us. But I still think that is, I think it's going to make all the sweetness that much more sweet, to be honest with you, because it's just been constantly on our mind, all the challenges to our success, all of our injuries, all of our wounds, always feeling like we're never going to be able to overcome them. That could make this breakthrough really, really important this week. And then Cancer 3s. Cancer 3s, you guys are by May 1st conjunct to Mars. That's going to give you a lot of vitality and a lot of energy throughout the rest of the week and into next week. So get ready for that, because that's actually a good thing. But Mars, once again, is also like aspecting in a lot of ways. So that means your natal suns are too. Your natal suns are going to be square to Jupiter, trine to Neptune, quincunx to Saturn, and in opposition to Pluto if you are on the extreme end of things, like the cusp between Cancer and Leo. For you, it's the most transitory energy. It is the most I'm not coming back from this kind of energy. It's the most dynamic changes that are happening in your life. And even though Cancer 1 and 2s are probably going to be experiencing breakthroughs, you guys are breaking through the cocoon and are not looking back. Like this is a life-changing process, group of processes that you guys are experiencing now. Neptune is, these are all long-term transits, and we've talked about them before. Primarily, it's that square to Jupiter. Now, square to Jupiter is still really good too. It's a lot of confidence, a lot of vitality, expansion, and growth. It's just that you could move a little too quickly for yourself. You know, you could want to grow too fast. So this week, and especially with Mercury in retrograde, know that growing too fast is not going to be possible. So what could be a really good thing could become a very frustrating thing for you this week. So slow down. Even though you have to slow down, you will have great fortune in your growth. So the growth might not be as big, but the fortune will be more expansive. It's just let yourself slow down and take things more carefully right now. FYI. That's all I got to say, guys. There's a lot going on for you guys, especially because of that lunar eclipse that's coming up on May 5th. I love you so much. Please do subscribe to this channel. If you've loved this video, like this video, and come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot with me so that you guys can enjoy your week ahead tarot card reading. I will see you hopefully there. Bye, Cancerians.